I'd like to address how you can help your dogs on obstacles that move. This could be the teeter, sway bridge, swing plank, any of those obstacles where the something moves underneath the dog, whether it shifts from side to side or in different directions, or they've got to go up and then write it down, such as in the teeter. We can help them out by just isolating the aspect of motion and help the dogs understand that they are in control of motion. A lot of dogs who are afraid of these obstacles, again, proprioception will help, the things that we talked about in the last module, but also helping them understand that they are in control of the motion. If something moves, they are the cause of it moving, and that they can kind of control it. That will help them being comfortable and more confident on it. So again, you don't have to have a lot of fancy obstacles at home to be able to work this. I work with my puppies, and I didn't grab video of it, but I work with my puppies being able to jump up and shut a door or push a drawer closed with their paws. So getting comfortable to things moving underneath their feet are helpful. Lua likes to work on a skateboard. So if you have an old skateboard lying around or one that you can borrow from a friend, you want to make sure you introduce it to them so it just doesn't go whee and slide out from underneath of them. I'm doing it on our surface here so it doesn't roll very far, unlike if I did it on the concrete. And so I'm just working her, being comfortable getting up and understanding that it might move and that she's in control of that motion. I'm kind of luring her with a treat. I'll throw a little reset cookie for her, but she gets up, it shifts a little bit, not much. I could block it with my foot so that it can't go very far. And so it can't, again, just go sliding off into the sunset with her on it. But she's just understanding, oh, first of all, where's my body? And as I step on it, yeah, good girl. I can get a reward if it moves a little bit. So then things moving from underneath of her are a very positive thing and not so much scary for her. Now, when I do my little jungle gym games, like again, we talked about in the previous video, I do this with the teeter as well. You can see I have our teeter propped up. So this is normally the side they would enter. And I have that side propped up with another jump underneath of it, just so that it won't go back down. What this does is this creates this end being raised a little bit. They would normally enter on this side, go up, and then this would be the side that would bounce down and they would exit off of. So I'm just going to work on this end of it, just like I did with the dog walk, just the dog being comfortable. I'm going to work with this on our teeter. And again, at this point, I'm working on a couple things. I'm working on her not only getting used to the fact that it moves underneath of her, but it kind of hits and might bounce a little bit. So she's getting comfortable with that. And then also there's that sound that teeter makes, that kind of doink when it hits, and they get used to that sound as well. Because some dogs don't like the sound. Some dogs don't like the concussion of it hitting on the ground. So you can work those things in a very controlled environment, them getting comfortable with it. So I'm sitting down there. She gets on it. I click. She gets a cookie. And then she comes off of it. Even that, again, it's just jungle gym stuff. So there's no real rules. She's not right or wrong. She's learning that it hits. She gets a cookie. And here I'm using my sweet because I want her to hold on to it a little bit longer. Good girl. And actually, on this, I'm working on her offering a different behavior, which is not a big deal, but good girl. I kind of reset her behind me. Boink. She comes up and it hits again. Now, at this point, she's doing a really good job of offering all 4 feet, getting on it. But at first, it might just be 2 feet. If they just put a foot on, that's great. Now, if you're doing this with your dog, it's really important that if they put a foot on it and it moves and they go, whoa, that moved, and they get off of it, don't really reward that, because then you're rewarding them being afraid of it. Okay. You might just start with it with no motion, with it propped up so much that it's already on the ground. And then you might move this little prop back here so that it's maybe only an inch off the ground. So it just moves a little bit. You'll gradually build up to it being a lot higher and them learning to jump on and be comfortable with it. And comfortable with the sound, comfortable with it hitting hard, and then getting lots of rewards at the end of it. But by propping it up on this, then I don't have to hold it up with my arm. Good girl. She does a good job. See, I'm throwing a reset cookie behind me to get her in position. Good girl, to get that. All right, so this makes me really, really happy when I'm doing this because she's confident, she's happy, she's offering to get on it. Again, like I talked in the other video, we don't want to force the dogs to do this. I don't want to grab my dog's collar and drag my dog to get up there. They're not learning that it's fun that way, and they're not learning that they're in control of what they're doing, okay? So it's going to cause them to be more afraid, and it's also going to cause them to not enjoy it so much. So, again, we're building up confidence, we're building up the dog enjoying it, and we're building up that the dog is choosing to interact with this obstacle and that we're not forcing them to. All right. So again, you can use things that you might have at home that move. Have them jump up. If you're ask your parents first if it's okay if the dog jumps up on the door, because some people don't like that. You might make sure their nails are trimmed first. A door or a drawer that they can work on pushing closed. Again, you might just start with it propped open a little bit so it's not wham, slamming really hard underneath of them. Again, things like that wobble board I talked about earlier, or that little balance disc where the dog's getting on and it moves underneath of them. To using things that move like a skateboard. Some people will use, if one of your parents has there are things that you can put under plants that kind of help, you can roll them around. That's a good thing you can use. Just come up and be creative with something that moves underneath of them. So they're getting comfortable with motion underneath their feet, and maybe just their front feet to begin with, but then getting into having all 4 feet on it and it moving. And if they're comfortable with that, then it's real easy to move into something like this on the teeter, where you're just working that end where the dog's comfortable getting up and they're pushing it down and they're getting cookies while they're on it, and they're having fun and enjoying it versus it being a scary thing.